Jigapriya Karo Karuna Avataro Ananda Lilamaya Vigrahaya Himam Devatsha Vishundraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rashapadaya Shri Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Kasturi Tilakam Latapatale Vaksane Kostavam Sagri Varmupikam Karatare Venu Karakankanam Sava Angari Chandanam Sulalitam Kantam Muktavali Rajastrio Parivestito Vijayate Gopala Chudamani He Shisham Sundara Shikara Shekara Smira Hasramili Manohara Radhika Rasika Mama Kripaniri Supriya Charana Kinkurin Kuru Tavai Vasmi Najivami Twayavina Iti Vigyai Radhitam Nayamam Charanantikam Yatkin Kreshu Vausa Kaluka Kamani Nitapurasha Purusha Shakandamuli Tashagarara Sanide Visabanujas Tatkeli Kunja Bhavanangana Mahajani Shama Bhajami Radha Daravinda Netram Smarami Radha Madhura Smitasham Vadhami Radha Karuna Barajam Tato Manasti Gati Nakapi Pakitavahina Yaparadalakshay Shiptascha Kamaritarangamajit Kripamai Tang Sharanang Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Kanaka Jalada Gatro Nila Sobhagya Netro Mrigumaravalo Malati Kundamalo Tavana Taruna Vesho Nilampitam Bharesho Smaranini Brittani Kunjera Rika Krishna Chandro Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. My Dandavat Pranam devotees, all glories to Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, our Guru Vargas. So, before we get started, I wanted to ask all the devotees to please say a small prayer with a large heart. One very dear devotee friend of ours is in need of some prayers for his health. Shriman Vikeshwar Pandit Prabhu is very senior and staunch devotee of Al Srila Prabhupada and is perhaps one of the greatest kirtaniyas in our entire society. I'm getting an echo. I don't know if that's me or... Okay. So we want to offer some prayers that whatever is the will of Shri Radhakrishna Yugal, Shriman Mahaprabhu, and Srila Prabhupada, that both Shriman Vikeshwar Pandit is fully imbued with that, and that their mercy may bestow again his health so that he can continue his seva amongst us. So I ask the devotees, please, to, in your hearts, to please say a deep prayer for him. He's a very dear friend of mine. I met him primarily through Bhumipati Babu many years ago in the New York Temple on 55th Street. And both his personality and especially his attitude of service towards our Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Vargas. And of course, everyone knows the inspiration of his kirtans. So again, I'm asking that we say a small prayer. Tonight, I wanted to discuss Radha Tattva. On Sunday again, which is actually Radhastami, then we'll again at our temple here do both our regular Sunday class. I've asked the devotees there that we could start at 10:30 so that it aligns with our regular Sunday class. And we'll discuss more details about the Rasa Vichar of Srimati Radhika and the Lila Tattva of Srimati Radhika. But tonight we wanted to discuss the Tattva Siddhanta of Srimati Radhika. Devotees have some idea who've been coming regularly on classes here. And also there are many devotees who even after many, many years of practice, don't understand the ontological position of Srimati Radharani. So because we've come from a patriarchal theological background, if you were Christian in America or anywhere in the Western world, I should say, not just particularly America, but anywhere in the Western world, then you know that even though in the Christian tradition there is a very deep um, idea of the feminine polarity of God, it was not the forefront of the presentation of Christianity. So the general view of what is God in all the Abrahamic religions was of a masculine polarity that simply was all powerful and was the creator and the origin of everything. And based on that, the natural relationship of most people in relation to the idea of God was not even so much as a servant, but more as a dependent who required assistance and also who was in a position to become the um, sort of shopper in the business of religion. In other words, shopping in the business of religion means they could go to God and ask, oh, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that. And then, you know, from that mentality, you get things like the prosperity gospel, which is centered around complete self interest. And God is simply the backdrop, which then is the provider. So the idea of the masculine polarity singularly of God as a feature of worship actually has very detrimental qualities as far as inspiring devotion to God. It inspires obedience, but we still look that that obedience should be rewarded. If I'm being obedient to that almighty powerful God, then I'm also due some reward. And the basis of most, excuse me, contemporary churches is that very thing. It's a deep push for obedience. And then if you are obedient, then your blessing is always around the corner. So, of course, in traditions of antiquity, this was not the case, but also when you look at all the traditions of antiquity, the feminine polarity of God was was also very prominent. So if you look in the traditions, like I said, deeply of Christianity, there are concepts like the combination of Judaic and the Christian traditions of Shekinah. Shekinah meant the idea of the feminine polarity of God. And also Sophia. Sophia, the word Sophia really meant wisdom, but this wisdom was indicated to be the wisdom that was in regard to understanding God. And it was considered to be also a feminine polarity of God in ancient Africa, it was very, very prominent that you would always hear God mentioned in the feminine and masculine polarity. If you go all the way back to Egypt or Kemet, you'll have in Greek Osiris and Isis, but then the actual Kemetic language would be Asar or Set. If you look in the West African traditions like Maulisa or Nana Bukuru, so there's so many different cultures you can look at where you see that the masculine and feminine polarities of God are always presented together. So, of course, in more contemporary times, and partly due to the fact that governance, societal dominations was always masculine in nature. So, that would obviously lead to an idea of the supreme entity being a masculine polarity singularly, and that it sort of reinforced what was happening in society. But in the ancient traditions of Vedic culture, then always the Shakti, means the power of God, was worshipped equally with God. Though there may have been misconceptions regarding the the fact that the Shakti and the Shaktiman here means the possessor of the energy, Shakti means the energy, are never really separate, and they're not two separate realities. So you have gotten phenomenon in India where people will separately worship Shakti for material benefit, like Durga Devi, Kali, and other deities which represent Shakti in the material paradigm. So, but in general, if you go through all of the various names in Vedic culture, even among the demigods, you'll see that there's always Brahma and Saraswati, Shiva and Parvati, Indra and Sachi, right? Agni and Swaha. So these are all demigods, and they're all still recognized with their Shaktis. And when it comes to addressing the absolute truth, the personality of God, then you will always get Lakshmi Narayan, Sitaram, Rukmini Dwakadish, or especially Radha Krishna. So in this way, if you look whenever they address God in the Vedic cosmology, the Shakti always is presented first. So I want to speak a little bit about why, first of all, it's so important to recognize that the Shakti is very important for those who want to worship the absolute truth. One is that without the Shakti of Bhagavan, would it be possible to approach the Lord? So let's think about it carefully. If there is no Shakti, there's no manifestation of Bhagavan's mercy, and Bhagavan's mercy is also one of the Shaktis of Bhagavan. Bhagavan's creation is also one of the Shaktis of Bhagavan. The Jivas themselves, they are a Shakti of Bhagavan. So without the presence of Shakti, is there any actual relationship with God? So I'm posing the question. Without Shakti, is there any relationship to God with anything? Not only the Jivas, but what about the material creation? The spiritual creation is also Shakti. No. So Bhumipati said no. So there is no relation between anything without Shakti. And in fact, everything in the creation, both spiritual and material, are composed of Bhagavan Shakti. The material world, and in English we say his energies. So Prasha Shakti Vidvidaiva Sruyate. The Lord has unlimited energies, and they're all swabhavika, means they're working automatically for his pleasure. So all of these energies are even what makes the creation here. In the Chatur Shloki of Srimad Bhagavatam, this is Srimad Bhagavatam, which is spoken by Krishna to Lord Brahma. So this precedes Bhagavatam being spoken by Nard to Vyas. And he tells him there, Hameva Shamevagri, Nanyat Sat Asat Param, that both the creation that exists prior to the material creation and the creation itself, which is Sat Asat means cause and effect, and Hameva Shamevagri, Nanyat Sarasat Paramam, Pascharaham Yaresascha, Yovashisheta Shoshmiham. And even after the creation is gone, all that remains is Bhagavan and his Shakti. His Shakti produces everything. His Shakti is the basis of the eternal existence beyond the material creation. Everything is Bhagavan Shakti. Even for devotees, when we first came to the movement, we were still dominated by the masculine conceptions of God. So when we first see deities of Radha and Krishna, then especially hearing Srila Prabhupada's lectures and reading Srila Prabhupada's, not so much just reading the books, because if you read the books deeply, it would come out. But hearing Srila Prabhupada's general discussions, it was always very Krishna-centered. The reason is because at that time, Srila Prabhupada, his ingenious preaching strategies was that I have to first get people to even accept that God is a person. In the Western world, our concept of God was impersonal. So already Srila Prabhupada had to create that bridge that would allow people to cross into the arena of considering God as a person. What to speak of a person with specific information about that person. Yes, he's blue and he plays the flute, etc., etc. I don't know, well, I can't, I'm going to use my own example because I'm old enough to remember. If you were to try to discuss this when my mother was taking me to, Baptist churches and so forth, and you came up with an idea that God was blue and he played a flute and he had a girlfriend, this would be heresy. You understand? If they allowed you to remain at home and didn't take you to a mental institution, thinking perhaps you were overindulging in drugs or something. So the bridge to be crossed between the whole idea of God's impersonality and the patriarchal masculine polarity singularly of God presented in the Abrahamic religions, what to speak of now bringing people across that bridge into the personalism of God, specificity of God. And then most people, when they first see the deity or pictures of Krishna, do they think it is a man or a woman? When everybody first sees the pictures of Krishna, I've had several people in the very early days ask, well, who's the woman? And they're talking about Krishna because of the fineness of the qualities that are presented in most deity carvings and the fact that the hair is very long, everything. People thought, oh, nobody thought this is, what God looks like, because nobody had a conception of God even being personal. So the first, vision that they would have is that this is a female, right? Of course, then you had to say, well, who was the person next to him? So I'm just trying to put the framework together for what it is that Srila Prabhupada had to deal with to get people even into the space of a masculine and feminine polarity of God. One is that nobody grew up with that in the Western world primarily. And even though it's buried in the traditions of Islam or Christianity or Judaism, it was not something that was openly presented. And certainly was not presented in the contemporary sort of evangelical churches and so forth and so on. So the recruiting really of many souls who had previous experience in bhakti, because when you really think about it, it would be too much of a stretch to just imagine how it's possible that it ended up being literally millions of followers, not discounting India because there was already so many followers in India, but in the Western world, millions of followers, hundreds of temples, thousands of people initiated into the practice of the path who had to come to terms with the idea of a personal God, but not only that, that was both masculine and feminine. Because ontologically, even for devotees in the beginning, if you asked any devotee who was Srimati Radharani, what was your answer? Does anybody remember? In the interest of time, I'm telling.
God.
No. Actually, they would say she's the greatest devotee, even if devotees were a little red. She's the greatest devotee of Krishna. You understand? They did not assess that Radhika is actually God. They would say that she's the greatest devotee of Krishna. So the statement has some truth to it. So because there was some partial truth in that, and we didn't have to deal with the deep theological dive at that point, then that was accepted as standard. Radhika is the greatest devotee of Krishna, but Krishna's God. And our center of attention is God. We've now realized who God is personally, and we're focused. Krishna is God. So it wasn't until two phenomena really took place. One was the manifestation of Chaitanya Charitamrita in 1975. Because there, Srila Prabhupada, and I was in Los Angeles at the time of the marathon to produce Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it was in Chaitanya Charitamrita that he put all the deepest levels of our theological understanding. In Srimad Bhagavatam, unless you've read Chaitanya Charitamrita, you don't have the benefit of the prism of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's conceptions. So you're reading it, and there's, first of all, 18,000 verses, 335 chapters. There's just, a plethora of stories and all varieties of teachings. So it's hard to even get a line of thought consistently if you're not really under guidance and really understand what's going on. But when Chaitanya Charitamrita came out, even in Adi Leela, so many things were established as the foundational truths that Mahaprabhu gave that now allowed you to look at the teachings in Srimad Bhagavatam in a different way. It allowed you to look at the deities of Radha and Krishna in a different way. It allowed you to understand even the position of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu now. So in part, this all makes sense because without going through Mahaprabhu, nobody can really obtain service to Radha and Krishna. So really until the Chaitanya Charitamrita appears, which just like Srimad Bhagavatam is the personification of Radha and Krishna, well, Chaitanya Charitamrita is also the personification of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, Raghunath Das Goswami, he was the only of the Goswamis who Mahaprabhu kept with him in Puri and put him under the care of Swarup Damodar. Swarup Damodar was the beneficiary of all the intimate teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he used to take notes on it. It's called his Kalacha. When Mahaprabhu left, and then some couple of years later, Swarup Damodar left, then Raghunath Das Goswami, who had the Kalacha of Swarup Damodar, he went to Vrindavan. And there in Vrindavan at Radha Kund, he was later joined by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who was ordered in a dream by Nityananda to go to Vrindavan. There, together on the banks of Radha Kund, he was able to get all of the transcendental transmission from Mahaprabhu to Swarup Damodar to to Swarup Damodar to Raghunath Das Goswami. And therefore, he wrote on the basis of that the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which contained all these deep conceptions. So even if you read one chapter in the Adi Leela 4, all the deepest conceptions about Shakti Tattva manifest there. All the deepest conceptions about the prominence of the mood of Srimati Radharani in our theological framework. What is Radhika's position? Harinamananda Prabhu mentioned, no, she's God. Yes, because now we've heard these things. So we know that Radhika is non-different from Krishna. It's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Radha Krishna Achayi Sada Ek I Swarup. Ek Swarup means they're actually one person. But, Mukunda, we always see two forms. So how can you say they're one person? They're actually one person, Lila Rasa Ashwadite, Dari Dui Rup. They've eternally have two forms to taste Lila Ras. And I think in the class that I gave maybe 2 weeks ago on Lila Tattva, I brought this point up. So I brought up that Krishna, because Radhika is always present in the reality of Krishna's Swarup, right? There's so many verses which declare this. One verse, this verse, Bhagavat Stava Rasadharana, Swarup Aishwarya Madhurya Tattva Visve Swarup Paramananda. So here it describes Krishna's Swarup as being Bhagavat. Aishwarya means he's God, but he's overcome by the Madhurya of Prem. Not Madhurya Prem only, but the Madhurya, sweetness of love itself. And Swarup Paramananda. As a result of that, in his Swarup, it is Parama Ananda. This Parama Ananda is a synonym also for Srimati Radharani. In the Skanda Purana, it is mentioned, Atmaramas tu Radhika Tasha Eva Ramana Aso. In the heart of Sri Krishna, when Radhika is unmanifest, and these are ontological descriptions, because Radhika is eternally manifest, but she eternally also is doing Ramana, means she's performing bliss in the heart of Krishna. So even when we say that Krishna is Atmaram, because he's God, it means he has to be self-satisfied. The confidential meaning of that is that Radhika is present within Krishna. Is there any other praman for this? Yes. What is this verse? Devi Mai Krishna Prokta Radhika Paradevata. That she's Devi Krishna Mai. So Radhika, Devi also means who illumines by so many moods and so many leelas. She illumines the heart of Krishna, and Mai means she permeates his consciousness. Understand? So, Devi Krishna Mai Prokta Radhika Paradevata. So she's Paradevata. Paradevata here means that she's also supremacy. In fact, Srila Gurudev, once devotees were mentioning that, well, what about the situation, Krishna, his expansion is Vishnu. And the word Vishnu means that which pervades everything. So Gurudev said, well, Radhika is not outdone here because she's Krishna Mai. Though Krishna pervades everything, she pervades Krishna. You understand? So there is no scope of understanding God or the position of God without his Shakti. Gurudev would mention many times, and not just Gurudev, but it's written in Shastra as well, Shakti, Shaktiman. Shakti and Shaktiman. Shaktiman means the possessor of power, and power are an inseparable fact. Like heat and light come from fire. It's inextricable. That's the Dharma in fire. Or the liquidity in water. Can't be separated from the water. So the Shakti can't be separated from the possessor of the Shakti. So the reality is that Radhika is actually also Bhagavan. In the verse of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad, in the Chaitanya Manjusa, he quotes the verse, what is this verse? Arajo Bhagavan Rajisha Tanayas Tat Dhamma Brindavana. So in this verse, he's saying Arajo Bhagavan. So who is Arajo Bhagavan? I'm giving an example that Gurudev used to say that Baladev ji, he is called the Vaibhav Prakash. The word Vaibhav means he's Krishna himself, but he has a Visesh Bhav, a different mood. So what is the mood that Baladev has primarily towards Krishna? Not a particular Ras, just I'm saying I'll say it so we're not going down this track.
Seva
He,
mood.
huh? He himself is the mood of serving Krishna. So he's called Savior Bhagavan. He is the embodiment of God as service. This is important because if that mood did not exist in God to serve himself, how could it exist in the creation of God and in the jivas? You can't have something that's not in God himself. So God first manifests the archetype of what is savior to God. That position is called the Vaibhav Prakash or Baladev Tattva. Two features are there in Baladev Tattva: Seva Vastu and Seva Vritti. So the word Vritti means the function, right? It means the tendencies to serve. Vastu means the substances. So, for instance, the entire spiritual world, the body of Krishna, Nanda Maharaj, all the cowherd boys, the land of Vrindavan, Giriraj Govardhan, what is it composed of?
Baldev Prabhu.
My wife is telling Sandini Shakti. That Sandini Shakti comes from whom?
Radharani.
No. Balaram. Balaram is the predominating deity of the Sandini Shakti. Now, the bodies of Radhika and all of the Nitya Siddha gopis, where do their bodies come from? Their bodies?
Radharani.
Radharani, yes. They are called the Kaya Vyuha of Radhika. It means they're directly expansions of Radhika's own body. So in the Brahma Samhita, it's mentioned there, Anandas Chinmaya Rasi Pratibha Vistabhivda Eva Nija Rupataya Kalabi. Kalabi means parts. And because Kalabhi means it's plural. So all the different manifestations of all the various gopis in Vrindavan, all of the queens of Dwarkas, all of the Lakshmis of Vaikuntha, they are all manifestations of the original manifestation of Shakti, who is Srimati Radharani herself. So in the verse that I quoted earlier, Devi Krishnamayi Prokta Radhika Paradevita Sava Lakshmi Sava. All the Lakshmis. That means Sita in Ram Lila. That means all the Lakshmis of Vaikuntha. That means all the queens of Dwarka. The root of all of them is Radharani herself. Therefore, Krishna is now tasting unlimited Leela Ras in so many levels of his Bhagavata because of the expansion of Srimati Radharani. Again, how important then is the understanding for us of the position of Radharani and now what is our position in relation to Srimati Radharani. Because if this is the power, this is a position of Srimati Radharani, then we could never say that we're worshiping our Krishna's name, our God's name is Krishna. Our God's name is Radha Krishna. The name of our God is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the combined form of that Radha Krishna. Could not say we worship Krishna. And Jiva Goswami said, even when you singularly say, we're worshiping Krishna, by default, it indicates Radharani and the entire entourage of Krishna. He wrote this in Sandarbhas. That when you just like if you say the king is coming, nobody expects that the king is walking alone. You expect that the king is coming to town. This means his entourage, security, aides, the whole retinue that would accompany a king. So in the same way, as soon as you say Krishna, it means Radha. Now it brings up another interesting question. Then why? And one of my disciples wrote me today, he was asking. But then it's an interesting thing because why then would we say the name in all the forms of Bhagavan, the Shakti is mentioned first, up to the highest point where we say Radha Krishna. And in our mantra, which is the essential part of our practice, we also say Hare Krishna. Hare is in Sanskrit grammar, it's the vocative. It means the way you address somebody of the word Hara. And the word Hara also means Radha. Or if you're calling Radhe, Radhe, it's the same thing. Hare is the vocative of Hara. So that comes before we say the name of Krishna. So now let's deal with the theological import of why you have to approach even the name of Shakti before you can approach Shaktiman. Means the possessor of the power. Because the Shakti that is given to us to serve and to chant, to follow bhakti, Where does that come from? Is it coming from Krishna or is it coming from Radhika?
Radhika.
If it is coming from Radhika, what will be the proof?
Krishna is all attractive, but only one person who can attract Krishna is Radharani.
Okay, that's a narrative, and we can go. But is there any Sastra Praman? We have to back it up with a Sastra Praman. There has to be something in Sastra written to declare that you have to approach. In our Goswami's writings, in Sastra, there has to be something that says that you have to go through Radhika to worship Krishna.
Shri Radha Pranay Vikriti Ahladani Shakti Asmat, Prabhuji.
This is more of a description of the cause of the Ladini Vritti creating the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Okay.
So I'm giving a couple verses. So from the Sankalpa Panchaka Stotra, this is more esoteric one, but it's mentioned here. Anaradya Radha Parabodhareno Asritya Brindavana Tat Parakam Asambhasya Tad Bhava Gambira Chittam Kuto Shama Sindhu Rasya Avagaha. How was it possible to taste service? I'm paraphrasing here, to taste service to Sham Sundar until and unless Anaradya Radha means if you don't worship the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. For those who don't do that, how is it possible for them to get the Rasa Sindhu, the ocean of mercy, Sri Krishna, to obtain his service without getting the mercy of the feet of Radharani? But then it also says, Asambhasya Tadbhava Gambira Chittam. But unless you get the mercy of one of Srimati Radharani's servants, you can't get Radharani's mercy. Asambhasya means, Asambhasya Tadbhava Gambira Chitta means those devotees who are immersed in the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika Seva, until unless you get their mercy, you cannot get the Parabojam Renu, means the dust of the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika, and in that case, you can never serve the ocean of rasa, Shri Krishna. Also, Raghunath Das Goswami is mentioned in Manasiksha. Marisha Natadve Vrajavipina Chandravane Sarim Natadve. That Marisha Natadve, my worshipable deity is Srimati Radharani. Her prananath is Shri Krishna. So I am worshiping Shri Krishna because he's the beloved of my Isha, means my worshipable objective, who is Srimati Radharani. There's so many verses actually that describe the necessity for us to approach the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani in order to serve Krishna. So just think how many years that we're practicing bhakti and devotees have gone on, but they don't really clearly understand the theological posture, though they have respect, though they speak nicely. Oh, Srimati, and especially Radhastami is coming, there'll be big festivals in every single temple. But to understand that our essential theological position, we're not even speaking about the Rasa Tattva, we're speaking Tattva Siddhant. Our position in relation to Radhika is essential to serve Krishna. There is no service to Krishna without approaching the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, another verse, Bhaktya Sanjatya Bhaktya. Bhakti comes from Bhakti. Who is Bhakti Devi?
Radharani.
Srimati Radharani. So also it's mentioned that Sri Shukadeva Goswami, because it may be asked, but wait, the Mool Praman, the root scripture for all Vaishnava practice is Srimad Bhagavatam. Why did not Shukadeva Goswami emphasize this in Srimad Bhagavatam? Why didn't he speak on this? So actually our acharyas have mentioned every single place you see the word bhakti in Srimad Bhagavatam. Svai Pumso Parodhamo Yato Bhakti Roksaje. Unlimited verses. Right? Everywhere you see that word bhakti, it means Srimati Radharani, because who is the origin of the Bhakti Shakti?
Radharani.
Srimati Radharani only. So the word bhakti is a synonym for Srimati Radhika. This is the secret. Because Shukadeva Goswami, he is the Krita Shuk of Radhika. Vichaksham Bhagavat Artha Kovido. This is mentioned in the Bhavasara Sangraha. It's a compilation of different writings like Govinda Lilamrita, Krishna Kumudi, Krishna Bhavanamrita, Govinda Lilamrita. It's a combination. And there it quotes that the parrot named Vichakshan is Bhagavat Artha Kovido. He is the knower and speaker, the Pandit. Kovido means learned person who spoke Srimad Bhagavatam. So because of his intimate knowledge of the glory of Srimati Radhika, if he had externally mentioned her name, then it mentions there, Radha Nama Prachane Na Murchita San Masiko Bhavet. It would be possible that becoming overwhelmed in ecstasy, he could have entered a state like fainting. Sanmas means 6 months, and Maharaj Parikshit only had 7 days to live. So he very tactfully checked the upsurge of his emotions by describing in Vyatarek Bhav. Vyatarek Bhav means, like Anvayad means directly, Vyatarek means indirectly. So in Vyatarek Bhav, he always described Radhika. He also therefore hid the name of Radhika from those who want to approach Krishna but have no regard for Radhika. So he hid the sacred name of Radhika because to offend Radhika, then your bhakti is finished completely. That's why a Vaishnava Aparad is like a mad elephant offense, because the Vaishnava is also the heart of Srimati Radharani. And we just read in verses yesterday in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna says, I also reside in the heart of devotees, they're in my heart. Why? Because Radhika is in the heart of Krishna. That's why he's making this statement. So Radhika is the essential essence of everything to do with everything in our theology. So, of course, when my Srila Gurudev began to travel widely, he began to open the portal and open the treasure chest of all of these things that our Srila Prabhupada had written in numerous books. Everything from the Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction, Chaitanya Charitamrita. In many of his purports, he gives reference to the commentaries of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakurpad. So Srila Prabhupada widely disseminated in his books this information, especially as I mentioned Chaitanya Charitamrita. But now my Gurudev came and he unlocked that treasure chest. And actually, my Gurudev used to say that Swami Maharaj, means our Srila Prabhupada, when he came to the Western world, he was able to tell you that Krishna is God. So a lot of devotees think, they make the statement about the saying, but they really don't get the depth of what he's saying here. What kind of yeoman's work must it have been, as I mentioned in the beginning of the class, that Srila Prabhupada was able to convince people that God was first personal and specifically personal? Even if we go along with the idea, okay, Srila Prabhupada, Swami Maharaj, listen, we're willing to accept that God is a person, but nobody's seen him. We don't know what he looks like. You understand? But Srila Prabhupada said, no, here he is at 439 Henry Street on 55th Street in New York. No, here he is. You understand? What kind of power does it take to get people to understand this is God and dedicate their lives to a practice in pursuit of that ideal? This is God. People don't really get the full gist of the power that was embedded in Srila Prabhupada to carry out the prophecy of Mahaprabhu, to give Harinam in such a way that people could come to the point of knowing specifically, yes, what I'm seeing in front of my eyes, this is God. Color, dimensions, his favorite posture, Tribanga. You understand? All these specific, where he lives. His phone number is the Hare Krishna mantra. He lives in Golok Vrindavan. He has a summer residence here, I'm joking now, in Boma Vrindavan. You can actually go there. What kind of power did it take to instill that in the hearts of thousands of people? And then my Guru Parapadma came and unlocked the deep mystery. Yes, and all of this is all due to his divine consort, Srimati Radharani. Then now you could truly understand what is love. Because with the idea that Sri Krishna is God and serving Krishna as God, there's no scope to understand what is the higher features of love. Because Krishna's godhood means his Bhagavat, that's called in Sanskrit, becomes prominent. Aishwarya Ganite Sakala Jagatara Moramashrit, Aishwarya Shaitila Prem Naimorpreet. Sakale Jagate Mori Vari Bhakti Brajabhava Paiti Nai Sakti. So these two verses in Chaitanya Charitamrita, they're mentioning that if the conceptions, I think somebody's got their mic open, maybe what it is. So if you have the conception of the Aishwarya, means the godhood of Krishna, then love, Shaitila, means it becomes feeble because there's no scope for me intimately loving God. I mentioned in the beginning of the class how most theological presentations in the Western world put God in a position where love was not possible on an intimate level. I can know God, but I know God in the position of his almightiness. I know God in the position of the creator of the world. I know God in the position as that person who can help me. Therefore, I know that's the person I can go to pray to ask for different things. That's the relationship. So it never rises to the level of unconditional love. Not even in the sense of master and servant. They talk about the mercy of God, you understand? But they don't talk about the mercy of God in context of love being an extension of mercy. They talk about it being a duty of God to be merciful. It's a duty of God to be merciful. It's not a love of God, it's a duty of God to be merciful. So only the opening, especially of this Vaishnav Dharma by Srila Prabhupada coming, was this ocean of deep understanding of what is love based on the fact that now we can understand something of the feminine polarity of God, which is the means of approach. You approach the Shakti Man through the Shakti. So now we've concluded that Bhakti means Radhika, that Bhakti is what we're pursuing in a pure way. Anya Abhilasikta Sunya, Jnana Karmadya Navritam. Anukulena Krishnanusilanam. You cannot do seal, means endeavors to serve Krishna, without pure bhakti. And when bhakti is covered by gyan, including knowledge of Bhagavan's opulence, then it does not give pleasure to Krishna. You understand? When it's covered by karma, reward-seeking activity, oh yes, you are God. Can I have a new house, new car, new wife, new job, etc.? It does not render pure bhakti, and therefore it does not give rise to pure love. So now we are so fortunate, having come under the shelter of Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Vargas, that now we have some appreciation what it means to love God, and in doing that, we have some appreciation of what is Radharani, who is the pinnacle of love of God. What is it that is so wonderful about love of God? Is that Bhagavan, his whole existence is only for this purpose. So in other words, the teleology or purpose of the entire existence, both spiritual and material, is only that Krishna will taste love. The personification of that love has also been described in scripture. What is love? Ladini Sara Prem. The essence of prem or love is ladini. What is ladini? The happiness derived from that love. Ladini Sara Prem. What is prem? Prem Sara Bhav. It's an emotion that's exchanged between two people. Ladini Sara Prem. The essence is the happiness there. That prem is a bhav. It's an emotion which contains that happiness. Ladini Sara Prem, Prem Sara Bhav. Bhav Paramakasta. Paramakasta means the highest feature of that emotional exchange. Ladini Sara Prem, Prem Sara Bhav, Bhav Paramakasta Nam, Mahabhav. It's called Mahabhav. Maha means great, obviously, but here it really means when love goes through iterations one after another and reaches a state of excellence that is called Mahabhav. Mahabhav Swarupini, the very Swarup, the very form of that Mahabhav in its highest capacity, called Madanakya Mahabhav, the form of that is called Srimati Radharani. So now devotees can say, oh, so now I understand that to love Krishna, devotional service, devotionally loving and serving Krishna means taking shelter of Radharani. Is there any other way? She is the love. So there is no question of love, even just in the common parlance we're speaking. I want to love Krishna. Radhika is that love. How is it possible to do it without Radharani? So now we understand that. So now it invokes in the heart of the aspirant, oh, how can I develop my relationship with Srimati Radharani? Then when you want to develop your relationship with Radharani, then Krishna will look at you. Then Krishna will look, oh, this person wants to become a servant of my Radharani. Now I will look. Why? Because the entirety of my happiness is only embedded in this form of Srimati Radharani. All the other rasas derive the Ladini Vritti, means the pleasure-giving potency, from Srimati Radharani. I earlier explained that Sri Baladev, he has two features. Anybody remember what I told? Seva Vritti and Seva Vastu. So, the mood of service and the substance of service. If you take the Ladini Shakti out, that means the pleasure-giving potency, what is the meaning of the attitude of service or even the substance of service? You understand? What is the meaning? In other words, if the thing doesn't give any pleasure, what is its purpose? So even if all of Vrindavan is there, but there's no Ladini Shakti in it, is it pleasurable to Krishna? If you have unlimited bodies of gopis, but none of them are imbued with Ladini Shakti, can they please Krishna? Balaram himself, he becomes the bodies of Krishna, Nanda Maharaj, he becomes the land of Vrindavan. Without the Ladini Vritti, does any of that really mean anything to Krishna? No. Therefore, the name Balaram also means, Bala means Shakti, Ram means Ramayateti Rama. The power to give pleasure to Krishna that's present in his own Vaibhav Prakash Balaram originates in Radharani. Because if there's no power to give pleasure, then the substance and the attitude of serving are void of the thing that's pleasing to Krishna. What is its purpose?
I'm sorry, Guru Maharaj, can you say that one more time? You just said?
Yes. Balaram. The word Bala means strength or power. Ram means pleasure. Ramayate iti Rama. So an Amarakosha is like a huge dictionary that breaks down the meaning of words. So Ramayate iti Rama means, Ram means that which gives pleasure. What is the pleasure potency that Krishna tastes? It is called Ladini Shakti. Where does that Ladini Shakti come from?
Srimati Radharani.
Therefore, Baladev himself is also dependent on Srimati Radharani.
Jai, thank you so much.
You understand? Therefore, when we speak about Krishna, Balaram, and Radhika as being the predominating deities of three kinds of Shakti, Baladev is the predominating deity of the substance to serve Krishna, and the attitude of different kinds of services. Sakya Ras, Vatsalya Ras, Dasya Ras, all they're emanating from Baladev. Even Madhurya Rasa also emanates from Baladev in his manifestation of Ananga Manjari. So everything is in terms of the attitude of service. It doesn't say the pleasure inherent in that service, the attitude of serving and the substances. They're all coming from Baladev. But the very happiness that's imbued in those things is coming from Srimati Radharani. Therefore, Radharani is even the guru of Krishna in this regard. You understand? Because it's mentioned here, Radhika Prem Guru Ami, Sishyanat. Krishna is saying, I'm the Sishya, I'm the disciple of Radhika's Prem. Radhikara Prem Guru Ami Sishyanat. Krishna is saying, this Prem is my guru. So he's a disciple of Radharani. What to speak? We should not become disciples of Radharani? Krishna, he's admitting here. This is in Adi Lila also, Adi Lila chapter 4, this verse is written there. Radhikara Prema, Ami Guru Sishanat. Her Prema is my guru. Krishna is Apta Kam Atmaram, means he can obtain anything in his form as God, and he's fully satisfied. If that is the case, in the end of the Ras, not the end of the Ras Lila, but the beginning of the Ras Lila, after Krishna has disappeared, and then he comes back. all of the gopis take their upper cloth off, their shawls, and they put them on the ground in a big pile. And Krishna sits on that. And they question Krishna about his motives of love. So finally, after they go through various kinds of, well, are you this kind of lover or that kind of lover? They say, are you a Atmaram? That means, are you self-satisfied? Because those who are Atmaram, they're sort of indifferent to loving somebody, or whether they receive love, they're indifferent because they're self-satisfied. Krishna himself, out of his own mouth, says, no, I'm also not Atmaram. Because if I was Atmaram, self-satisfied, why did I play my flute to call you here? So we have in Sastra, Krishna admitting, I am not Atmaram. Why? Because the love of Radhika, and by extension all the gopis, it is something that is Krishna's ultimate desire. So even in God, she inspires a desire. And Krishna always desires to know what is her love. In the Padma Puran, and I believe also in Skanda Puran, there's an ontological description of the Ras Mandal. My Gurudev used to tell this many times. In that ontological Ras Mandal, from the left side of Krishna, Srimati Radharani appeared. From his right side appeared whom?
Sadashiv. Sadashiv.
Sadashiv. Yes, not Balaram. Sadashiv. What is Sadashiv? Sada, Sada means always. Like Kirtaniya Sada Hari. Shiv means auspicious. The eternally auspicious desire, Adi Icha, in the heart of Krishna is to understand the love of Radhika. Therefore, to show this, that Sadashiv, who appears in that ontological Rasmandal, in a Leela, tries to enter into the Ras Leela, and because he has a male form, he cannot. So he prays, and then Purnamasi dips him in Brahmanda Kund, in Brahma Kund. And then he gets the body of a gopi, and he enters into Ras Leela, but he's unfamiliar with all the moods because he has no anugatya to gopis yet. So he goes, he has the form, but he doesn't have the substance. So immediately, it's determined that there's some vijati abhav. Vijati abhav means some weird, strange mood among us while we're having our ras. So then they go and they question Lord Shiva, and they ask him, oh, who are you? Saki, please tell us what village you're from, who is your husband, etc., etc. She can't answer because no details were given. So now the gopis say, oh, this may be any demon, because many demons had come into the Vrindavan. So they began slapping him. You understand? So now Shiva's praying for his mercy. So then Purnamasi comes to his aid, and Krishna comes to his aid, and they give him service to the gopis. How? As Gopishwara Mahadev. Means that person whose Ishwar is the gopis. So he guards the Ras Mandal against imitationists. So you cannot enter the mood of Ras Leela if you are not situated under the anugatya of those who are in the line of Radhika. Therefore, Guru Parampara, if you go down each one, they're all servants of Radhika's manjaris. Why is this? Is this just a coincidence, accident? It doesn't also say that there's no other rasa in Vaishnav Dharma. Sakya rasa is also there, Vatsalya rasa is also there. But those especially who give entrance into the Ras Mandal are those who are the maid servants of Radhika. And if you try to approach the Ras Mandal, the pinnacle of Krishna's Leela, without the mercy of Srimati Radhika's associates, her near and dear, then you'll be checked at that gate by Mahadev. Gopishwar Mahadev, you'll be checked. And maybe he'll take out all the slaps that he received, he'll take them out on you. That's what it is. You understand? So it is imperative that we come under the guidance of those who are the Anugatya to Radhika. So if you go down our line, then and you should try, devotees should try to remember our Guru Vargas and their Manjari names if possible. Understand? Because it's good for your bhajan dhyan. Understand? If you can remember. If not, you should at least remember in sequence from your Gurudev to your Param Gurudev, at least back to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Like you can say, if you don't know your Gurudev's Manjari name or Swarup, then you should meditate that my Gurudev has this mood. Because now you're accepting the line of conception coming from Mahaprabhu. If your Gurudev should reveal in the future that it's different or something else, then if your mood is prominently that, then you'll get the guidance of a Siksha Guru who has that mood. Krishna is very expert in arranging everything. Spiritual life is not random. Spiritual life is very calculated, very set out. So if in your previous samskars, your mood is towards Paryadasi Bhavta Radhika, then you'll meet Shiksha Guru who will give illumination in that mood. Just as Hridoy Chaitanya, his disciple Dukhi Krishna, whom he named Krishnadas, he realized that the nature of his ruchi, his attraction was in Madhurya Rasa. So Hridoy Chaitanya sent him under pretense to study with Jiva Goswami so that that mood could be brought out. And of course, he's Shaimananda Prabhu, and his Manjari name is Kanaka Manjari. And so like this, we should now understand in our practice, after hearing the Siddhanta regarding Srimati Radhika, how important that is in our practice, especially for those who want to obtain service at the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. If still your mood is very generic, I'm the Das of Krishna, and Krishna is God, then they will require some more hearing of Harikatha, more association of devotees who have deeper mood, and then a particular kind of inspiration of seva may gradually arise in the heart. At that time, Guru's duty is to guide you where that mood can become fulfilled. Of course, if the Guru is in Madhurya Rasa, because Madhurya Rasa contains all the other rasas, then that Guru can give Bhajan Siksha in Sakya Rasa, Vatsalya Rasa, etc., etc. All right, I wanted to leave plenty of time for questions. It's just about 8 o'clock. We need to end by about 8:30 at the very latest. So I'm going to open up for questions. I wanted to establish tonight two things. One is the Tattva Siddhanta and the ontology of the position of Srimati Radharani. Secondly, how that is related to us in our aspirational desire of service. The indispensable nature of understanding our relationship with Radharani. Because everybody speaks about their relationship with Krishna. But there is no relationship to Krishna without Srimati Radharani. And of course, as I mentioned, I went through kind of historical sort of narrative about how and why, when we all first came to the practice of bhakti, being steeped in the patriarchal Abrahamic conceptions of religion, which are dominated by the masculine polarity of God, we just, well, even to cross the bridge into personalism was a big deal. And the specificity in personalism was a big deal. But still, that we held on to the idea, but Krishna's God, and he's male, right? And we rationalized Radhika as the greatest devotee. We had to put Radhika somewhere. But nobody ontologically really knew or very deeply knew, especially till Chaitanya Charitamrita's appearance. And especially with my Gurudev was ordered by Srila Prabhupada to help his disciples when he came. He opened up this treasure chest of deep knowledge about the indispensable nature of service at the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika to obtain any mood of service to Krishna. Not only Manjari Bhav, any mood of service. All right, it is now 7:59. So we'll open the floor for any questions or any comments. So I have the phone is going on as well, so we'll have to balance between the two.
Yes. Hare Krishna, thank you again for coming and speaking with us. I wanted to ask if there's any newer people. I heard there's going to be some guests that may be coming for the first time. So if maybe they have any questions first. I'm not sure who's on, but I saw a few names I've never seen before. So
yeah, a lot of them come on Sundays. Well, no, you see people on Sundays, so I don't know.
Yeah. But if they don't have any questions, then
okay.
Whoever wants to ask. But...
All right, Anuradha has her hand up.
I have two questions. One is we had there's a local South Indian temple that we happen to be nearby, so we went there just to see. It's a Venkateshwar. Is it? What is it?
Yes, Prabhuji. Good, Anuradha.
And so they had placed all of the Shakti, Sita Devi, also Srimati Radhika, on the right side instead of the left side. So why is that? That they would maybe differ from how as Shakti Tattva is placed on the left. And then the other question is that I've heard the more esoteric reason behind Atmaram. I know you had mentioned that Shri Krishna had said that he is actually not Atmaram, but that actually is Atmaram because is doing Raman in the heart of Krishna. So that she is always playing and giving pleasure to Krishna in his heart. So naturally he is Atmaram because of that. So if you could just explain a little bit more.
Yeah, I quoted that verse earlier. I don't know if you were on at that time.
Oh, okay.
Iti prokta tasharamana evanaso. Atmaramas iti prokta radhika par. No, what is this verse? Atmaramas tu radhika tasharamana evanaso. Atmaramas iti prokta muni bir guyavedi bir. So Atmaramas iti prokta. By this word Atmaram, we mean to say that Radhika is doing Ramana in the heart of Krishna. All the Munis and all Sastra know this to be the confidential meaning of the word Atmaram for Krishna.
Yes, okay.
This verse is in Skanda Puran.
Skanda Puran.
Okay.
Thank you for that. And then if you could just answer the one about the
Oh,
Balaji.
yes. In South India, actually, normally when you go into the temple, if there's Lakshmi, she's on the right. But if you look in the very front of the deities, the way they put is right, then they'll have Shri, Bhu, and Nila as three Shaktis going in the front, lower level. So it's just their way of expressing the relation of Shakti to Bhagavan. I don't know, and I don't want to speculate if there's any significance other than that.
Sorry, Prabhuji, we accidentally dropped out. I missed that part that you just shared. I'm sorry.
Yes, the temples, when I went to South India, I also visited many temples and I saw the same thing. But it's not only that Lakshmi Devi, now this could have been special to this temple for some reason, is on the right, but also normally the Shaktis are all in the front. So maybe this was a special arrangement because normally it's Shri, Bhu, and Nila, or the Lila Shakti, are all in front of the Lord, slightly lower and in front of the Lord. So this could be, I don't know, a particular setup for that temple. I'm not sure. And I'm not sure if there's any in the Sri Sampradaya theological conception around right and left. In our Gaudiya theology, Shakti manifests from the left and avatars from the right. That's actually a theological concept in our Gaudiya line. So all the Shakti manifest from the left, and then beginning with Baladev Tattva, all manifest from the right side of Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, in most of the South Indian temple, they are on the right because here also one of the South Indian temple, we see that all the Shakti, like Radha ji also is on the right hand side. Lakshmi is also on the right hand side. Like Krishna Kamini is saying that because, yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
I think this might have been some years ago that somebody told me this could be because of their idea about Swakiya.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Yeah.
That
That's
is,
what you're saying,
the
Swakiya.
Shakti are always, they consider married. So the
Yes.
dharmic idea is that the wife is on the right. Yeah.
Yes. So that's what we were saying that it's Swakiya. They don't do Parkiya Bhav. Swakiya is always like wedded wife is on the right. That's
Right.
what.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yeah, that's what we
Yeah.
want to say.
I'm remembering now.
Yeah, Haribol.
I don't think we asked that question when we were traveling in South India, but I think it was a discussion. We were coming back from Tirupati on the bus, and we were talking, and some of the devotees who lived at the Tirupati temple there, ISKCON Tirupati temple, they were explaining to a group of travelers with them, right? And so he was saying, the Lord's wives. He was using the word the Lord's wives, right? Because there were people who were kind of just touristy people. So he's mentioned Lord's wives because the wife should be on the right and so forth. So now it's coming back.
So, sorry, Prabhuji. So is that like a normal standard across Vedic weddings that the wife is on the right side? Because I've like or is that in a Vaishnava wedding, is it different that we start on the right and then we switch to the left?
Yeah, you start on the right, you switch to the left, and when you do the circumambulation of the fire, the 7 times, the husband will lead for 6, and then it'll switch, and the wife will lead for 1 around. When I was doing yagyas, I don't really do yagyas anymore, but that's what I remember when I was doing them. Right? So yeah, the wife starts on the right and moves to the left side. But there's some other indication. I have Sakya Sardipika. I'll look it up again and see if it's mentioned there any particular significance to it. But I just knew that was the protocol when you're doing a Vivaha Yagya, means a marriage ceremony. For devotees who are on the phone conference, the question originally was, Anuradha Didi was mentioned she visited a South Indian temple and all of the Shaktis were on the right side. So Binay Prabhu had given me some memory that the reason of that is because in Sri Sampradaya and other Sampradayas outside of our Gaudiya line, their conceptions about Krishna and his consorts are always in Swakiyavad. And in Swakiyavad, the Shakti is on the right. Any other questions or comments or something I should review? On Sunday, we'll speak about Radhika's prem and about the influence of her lila in so many ways, and the sweetness of the lilas of Radha and Krishna. The nature of Radha and Krishna's lila is our highest aspiration. And in that highest aspiration, our desire for service in that position is what is the basis of our practice. Of course, in the very beginning, there has to be some purification of the antakara. And antakara means the subtle body, because the subtle body is housing so many impressions of material life from time without any beginning. So if we try to prematurely approach that ideal, then the material impressions will conflate or try to mix in with the spiritual, and it'll just be confusion. And that's what leads to prakriti sahajavad. Prakriti sahaja means, prakriti means the material paradigm. When you try to mix the two things together, sahaja actually means something that is easy or natural. So if you try to forcibly mix prakat bhavs, means material bhavs and so forth, with transcendental things, that does not work. And that is called prakriti sahaja. You're trying to cheapen the reality of the spiritual domain by infusing borrowed conceptions from the material paradigm. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur said this was the basis of all the Apa Sampradayas. There was some degree of Prakriti Sahajavad in each one in their philosophies. So in order to avoid that, there should be natural steps in the evolution of bhakti from Shraddha to then Sadhu Sangha, receiving bhajan, shiksha from the Guru, and then availing yourself to truly being Saranagat, right? Means that first of all, I have to have that desire to be Saranagat, means surrendered, and then doing what is favorable for bhakti and avoiding what is unfavorable. Then Rakshashuti, Vishwas, and Gupta Vevaranam Tata are done by Bhagavan. He protects and maintains the bhakti, seeing the mercy of Bhagavan and Bhagavan Shakti, especially Srimati Radhika, because that potency is coming from Radhika herself. It is the Bhakti Shakti. One becomes very humble. So Karpanya means very humble. And one wants to give themselves fully, Atmanikshep. And these are the elements of Saranagati. When that happens, then the influence of the Kriya Shakti and Kripa Shakti coming from Radhika, and especially from the Leela of Mahaprabhu, because Mahaprabhu's Leela is the intermediary between this station, the material world, and the divine station, Nitya Golo Vrindavan. So, Yata Gaura Padara Vinde, you have to go through Gaur Leela. Also, Gaurangera Rasanave, Setaranga Javidube, Shri Radha Madhav Antaranga. If you go deeply into Gaur Leela, then you'll come up in the Antaranga of Radha Madhav, means in the deepest part of Radha Krishna Leela. But you have to go through Gaur Leela. So the mercy of Gaur Leela will come down. That will help us to remove all the anarthas, especially by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. and other sastras from high class of Rasik Bhavuk Vaishnavas, or those who are repeating their message. And then some ruchi will come for a particular mood of service. That ruchi will become instilled in the heart. It will become very thick, and then one will become very blissful in their practice. That blissful practice and deep practice will lead to intense attachment for the goal. That stage is called a Shakti. Then the Abbas of one Swarup and mood, everything will appear in the Chitta, and one will be at the begging stage. Many of our acharyas said, become a beggar. That time will be Kabe Habe Bolo Shedi Namo, and so many bhajans that start. Kabe Habe means win. You understand? And then the mercy of Radhika through Mahaprabhu's Leela will rain down on that jiva, and the actual substance of Swarup Shakti will come onto the chitta. Sudha Sattva Viseshatma Prem Sri Yaksa Samyabha Ruchi Vischitta Masanaya Gurasoba Vuchite. And at that time, one will have the darshan of one's own Swarup, Gurudev Swarup, the Swarup of Radha Krishna Yugul or Mahaprabhu, and then Seva Sarika Rupena Siddha Rupena Chatri. In the course of your bhajan, internally, you'll practice in your Siddha Deha, externally in your Sadhaka Deha and Goalila. Then once you give up this body, at the end of this body, a Vastu body will be given to you so that you can enter into Nitya Golok Vrindavan in a pure spiritual body. There you'll continue to be under the guidance of Nitya Siddhas in the particular mood that you have, and your praying will grow in incremental stages suitable to the particular mood of service that you have. This is Bhakti in a nutshell. And it all depends on who? I'm asking.
Srimati Radharani.
Radhe.
Jai Jai
Right.
Sri Radhe.
Sham.
Understand? So even Vrindavan, some people think, like we mentioned in Baladev, he's the manifestation or the predominating deity of Sandhini Shakti. But when Radhika was in Kurukshetra, she told Krishna, Anya Ridoya Moramana Vrindavan, Mani Vani Eka Kari Jani. Actually, Vrindavan is my heart. Even Govardhan, it's mentioned in the Puranas. Prakriti Manasa Jatu Giriraj Govardhanaha. Giriraj also manifests from the mind of Shakti, meaning Radhika. Then in the Garga Samhita, there's a whole Leela. I'm not telling Leela here now. But how Govardhan, whose name is Saptashringa in the Nitya Golok, descends to this world. Trivikram Prabhu.
Hey, Haribol. I was able to step outside for a moment of peace and quiet. The nurses are all doing their thing. As you were just mentioning, with our mood of service, I know that as Manjari would apply, being your disciple will fall into the Manjari line. Does that same thing apply with the mood of service? Are we going to be more inclined to have the same mood of service as you, or is that still going to have different iterations depending on the devotee?
It will be seen at the state when you come to the level of ruchi. At that time, it's described that the guru will examine the ruchi of the disciple. It may not be necessary that everyone whom I've given Harinama Diksha is necessarily a Manjari Bhav. More than likely, because the samskars are not random. So the samskars that take you to a particular guru are indicative of a particular mood. I'm openly honest that my aspiration is for Paridasi Bhava of Radhika. My Gurudev had that mood. That mood is in my heart. You understand? That desire. You understand? So those who have come in some relationship with me, almost 99%, as my Gurudev used to say, because we don't accept that spiritual impressions are random. Okay, you just fly over here, meet this person, and so on. But the ambiguity around it may be there until the antakara, means the consciousness becomes somewhat purified. So it really doesn't become a apt discussion until coming into the stage of ruchi. Then in that stage, then speaking with Guru, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, the Guru will do ruchi pariksha, means to examine the ruchi of the disciple and give bhajan siksha accordingly. In Manjari Bhav, there are so many services. You understand? So there may be a service which is particularly tasteful to that devotee, but that will come in a very mature stage. You understand? And then you'll see a service of a particular person, and that service will be very sweet. But the Parakasta Seva of Manjaris is always the bringing of Radha and Krishna together. That is the generic Parakasta Seva of Manjaris. Then they may have some individual service. It may be cooking, it may be this, making garlands, taking Radhika and Abhisar, maybe so many things.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Anybody on the phone conference?
Gurudev, can you clarify that parakasta, that specific word that you just used, parakasta seva?
I'm sorry, Parakasta means your highest aspiration, like what you want to do most.
Got it. Thank
and
you.
for all of the Manjaris, their Parakasta Seva is to bring Radha and Krishna together. That's, in other words, anytime that there's a separation, to console Radhika and make the arrangements for them to come back together, this is the highest mood of service of Manjaris. All right, I think Pranamananda Prabhu, we're almost getting towards 8:30. It's 8:17. So we will call here, and then on Sunday, of course, we'll continue with Radha Rasa on Sunday.
Thank you so much, Ruth. And thanks everyone for coming. Hare Krishna.
Haribo, Dhanyavad Pranam, Vancha Kalpataruvescha, Kripa Sindhavaivacha, Patitinam Pavneva Vaishnaveva Namo Namaha. Very quickly, Manini, can you do a little kirtan? We should always end with kirtan.
For a little bit.
Somebody's got to unmute it, Mike. Manini, are you available or are you busy there? She may be somewhat busy. Okay, Anuradha.
राधे 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 जय 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 श्री राधे 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 जय 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 श्री राधे बोलो राधे 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 जय 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 श्री राधे 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय गुरुदेवा गुरुदेवा शिल गुरुदेवा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा निताय गौर हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल श्री गौर प्रेमानंदे
Haribo. Jai Dhanavad, Jai Radhe Radhe.